Welcome back to Make It Mental, everybody. What you're looking at right here is technically part 2 of Traxxas versus Chinese knockoff. And what you're looking at right here is the bottom of the transmitter. Now, granted, the labeling is the same. Different. Ignore the labeling and just look at the shape, right? Across the bottom, straight up, and this slightly little tapered edge here, this slightly little tapered edge here. I mean, look at that. It's fucking identical in my opinion, right? They both use 4AA batteries. Slight differences in overall, I guess you'd call it a protrusion, or what you might say a protrusion. I don't know. Traxxas is actually a little bit smaller from the back side to the front side. And there is, well, whatever it is right there. This one here, I don't know, they both feel very clunky. This one feels worse, even though they look almost damn near identical. You put the Traxxas on the bottom and the crap on top. I mean, look at that. Look at this archway. Doesn't it look the same? Doesn't that look the same to you? Oh, we switched around. Oops, sorry about the extra noise. Doesn't that look the same? I mean, outside of minor details like adding steering trim, and what the hell is that one? Steering direction, whatever the hell that is. And then we got a throttle limiter, which just changes the position of your actual stick. Traxxas has got a steering trim, an indicator light, and I have no idea what that is. I have not messed with it, nor have I read through the manual, but I'm just going based off of what the average person would probably do without reading the owner's manual. To me, this looks like a copycat. I mean, it's very easy. Oh, well, yeah, the Chinese Traxxas sends this to China to have it made, and the Chinese say, okay, we can make you this, and then in the meantime, they decide to add a couple of extra buttons here. I mean, that shit looks fucking identical. I mean, it really does. The only difference is this cheap Chinese one, in my opinion, left hand versus right hand. And I work well with my left hand almost as equally as my right hand, except for when it comes to like writing my name or throwing a ball. But everything else I can do the same with my left hand. This one comes with a key. You'll never ever lose this key right here like I did, right? It comes with a key. For some reason they think that turning it from green to red, here, let me let you guys read that. If it'll focus in, right? You'll never lose that little key. They give you two of them, so you'll never lose it like I did. But it does have reversible steering. There's nothing wrong with copying somebody, in my opinion. That's a way of learning. You see one, do one, teach one. There's nothing wrong with that, but my God, when you can't develop your own style even, I mean, you've copied everything. The hand grip where the thumb rests is exactly the same. The trigger is exactly the same. The battery tray is exactly the same. The steering wheel, even the little design outside this one, the Traxxas one being chrome, is exactly the same. You see, got that little V pattern, right? Exactly the same. So there's a quick size difference. So let's do a drop test. I got both batteries in the Traxxas because I truly believe the Traxxas was designed intentionally to have both batteries in at the same time to accommodate this smaller chassis. So they had to split the battery difference. I truly believe that. And I truly believe they had intentionally designed it to run on dual servos, even though this spot here is empty. And the reason I say that is because if you look right here, this is probably why they're breaking servos. Let me get a better light or something to point in on. You see right there? Right there? There's a servo. And there's a little doodad hummer from it. There's a pivot point. And there's another mounting location. And this could be where another servo sat. So if we turn this wheel, let me get it to focus. We turn this wheel manually, you see, that pivot point just changed. So that's another pivot point for another servo. I truly believe Traxxas had originally designed this to hold another servo, but they said it costs too much money. I mean, I'm already into it, $250, roughly, plus or minus $10. And it's smaller than my 1/10 scale brushless version of my Red Cat Racing short course truck. So I think Traxxas has a good idea. These servos, I bought 4 servos about this size. 4 of them for less than $20. I don't think they should have missed that. I really think they should have added another servo there. Especially since I've read so many articles where people say the servo is stripped out. So I think with this right here, Traxxas knew there's a potential problem. I really believe that. I have no proof of it, but I really believe that. So let's do a drop test. Let's see if I can dim down some of the brightness here so it's not so horrible. There we go. I'm just going to drop both of these vehicles the same height. Both these vehicles have a battery in them. Look at that. Very well controlled. Outside the rebound you're hearing from my tools echo, this vehicle only produces 1 bounce from Traxxas. Very good suspension control. Let's try the Chinese knockoff. Oh, you can see it bounce. You can definitely hear 2 bounces. Look at that. Even down lower, you can hear 2 bounces. Look at the toe. Let's compare the toe. Because toe will slow you down and wear out your tires. Now, visually, I've just set it as straight as possible. It may be hard to discern this on camera, but the outside of the wheels are traveling more in a triangular fashion. If you could follow an imaginary line up here to wherever it might end back there. So we got the triangle tip back there, right? There's a triangle, imaginary triangle. So we got a lot of toe out right here. Both these vehicles are fixed. You cannot adjust the turnbuckles. You cannot adjust the toe. Although on the Traxxas model, you can, if I remember correctly, you can buy adjustable turnbuckles and adjustable toe or tie rods or inner and outer tie rods, whatever the case may be. Anyway, you can buy adjustable components for the Traxxas. I don't know about this one. The shit's in Chinese. Half the shit don't make sense anyway. So this, so far, is still looking like the better value. How about wheel slop? Got a little bit of there, or steering slop. A little bit there. I think the Chinese are actually doing better on the tire slop or steering slop. How about rear wheel? Well, it's a solid rear axle. It should be a good. That one's better too. And that one's better too. Both these vehicles use 12mm hexes. I think during my test run, I'm going to use these 1/10 scale buggy tires. I bought them originally for my rally car. They just did not work out, and they're only about 5 millimeters taller than the Traxxas Slash. I got these off eBay. Ride height is about 1.5 inches for the Traxxas. Now, ride height for this guy is going to actually vary. Excuse me. It's going to actually vary because the center differential. But we're looking at close to 2 inches. So let's measure the rear differential ride height. Come on, focus. There we go. Where's number 1? We're looking at about 1.25 inches of ride height from the rear differential. So they're fairly similar in overall ride height, although the obviously chassis ride height is quite a bit different. But overall ride height, I mean, depending on what kind of terrain you're going to run on, is about the same. Even though this one's 1/16 and this one's 1/12. So here you're looking at tire squish. This is the Traxxas Slash 1/16 scale 4x4. And you can see there's not very much compression there on the tires. I'm not using my hand on it. It is simply a block of wood with a brick on it. And there's not very much squish on there, because I can tell you all day long that the tires are soft, but it's kind of hard to discern that from the viewer's perspective if you cannot physically touch them. But I promise you these tires are very hard, and I think Traxxas did that intentionally for a long life tire or to prevent ballooning, or both. Okay, this one here I have to kind of gently balance a little bit. I'm trying to use one finger, but you can see there's tire squish. Oops. And then there's definitely some tire squish there. Some tire squish there. So these tires are definitely a lot softer. And as you can see, I'm just kind of balancing it on there because the tires, and you can see the wrinkle down there and the wrinkle down there, right? So one brick is definitely weighing the tire down, meaning the tire is much softer, has a higher grip content. So there is that as well. And there is a brief size comparison, roughly speaking, axle to axle, 1/16 to 1/12. Now there's 1/18, one HBX Rampage on top of that. So now you get a pretty good idea of the scale. All right, hope you all have a good day.